Hello and welcome. I so look forward to this time on Mondays and I'm imagining that you do too. And I want you to know I just put it in my calendar for the next several months. And so unless I hear from you all like, oh, stop it, let's not do this anymore. I want to continue it because I really consider it the basic weaving of connection that I've found so valuable over this last period of time. And I wanted to share with you that I had two people, two close friends who experienced near death experiences this weekend and it was from sort of unconscious behavior. One put their foot on the gas instead of the brake and almost backed up over a cliff. And literally, if she hadn't run into a bush, she would have gone over the cliff, and that would be the end of her. So my sense is that right now we're in a very there's a lot of torque in the system, and my sense is that things have been spinning so much that a small action can have a big impact. So one of the reasons I want to have us be meeting and sharing is that the shifting of your attention is one of the best ways to locate yourself, because we think of it as if I'm giving my attention, but what I'm really doing is orienting myself in a larger space. And so I'd like you to think of loop of awareness as kind of your GPS. It is your internal, external locator. Like, where am I? Oh, here am I. What's going on around me? All right. And how am I adjusting then to that that's going on around me? So I want to invite you to think of your attention as your primary presencing tool. And the value of that is that your choices are based on what's really going on. And I know from breaking my hip, and some of you know this, but some of you don't. The reason I broke my hip was that I was just about this much out in front of my body. And that was enough for me not to be able to navigate a bump that turned the wheel on my bike and dumped me over. So we think of, well, I'm pretty conscious, I'm doing pretty well. And I think that right now, giving your practice to wherever my attention is, send it the other way. And so that you just get in that sense of, just like with your breathing, you're able to just send your attention the other way. Notice that, bring your attention back to you. And what I want to invite you to do is to send your attention out and see, does it go out more linear or does it go out more like a fan? Because my sense is right now we want to be able to do both. So I want to invite you to send your attention out somewhere, like with a focus, like out pointedly. And then I want to invite you to let your attention expand to around. What's going on around that? Beautiful. Now add breath to that, because I can see some of you are working hard. So if you let that just be easy with your breath. So you're pointing at something like, for example, you're looking at a tree, and then let your attention expand to what's around the tree, what's under the tree. And then I'd like you to bring your attention back to you. Notice where your attention lands in you. Does it land in you? Or do you bounce off? I want to invite you to let your attention land. Where is it landing? And let yourself really, it's almost like letting it bloom, letting it land, and then letting it bloom. What's going on around that place where you've landed? What's going on under it? What are you noticing behind it or right in front of it? There's one of the things I've noticed over the last several years is that most people's attention is getting quite narrowed and more two-dimensional. So one of the great uses of our attention is to be able to recover our three-dimensionality. So send your attention out again to someplace else. And if you've gone near, let yourself go far. And if you've gone far, let your attention go near. So like I'm noticing there's a wonderful little piggy that's by the door, and I'm letting my attention land on that. And then I'm letting my attention expand. So you can let your attention expand while your vision is on that place, because you receive through more than just your eyes. So let your attention go to that place and then sense what's around that. What are you noticing? What is your body noticing? I notice that as I let my body move, I notice more. And it's like, okay, there's that. And now coming back to you, and let yourself select a different place in you to let your attention land. So there's a whole question too of how does your attention land? So is it pointy, or is it flocky, or sticky, or is it thready? So just noticing, how does your attention land, and does it go in or does it just land kind of on the surface? See if you'd be willing to let your attention go in and spread out like a bloom. I was just thinking of when I've gotten into a hot bath, and when I first get in, my body kind of goes, "Ooh," and then it goes, "Ah," and spreads out. So if your attention is more like pointy, what would happen if you let yourself really sink in to that part of your body, and then letting your attention bloom? Landing and blooming. I like that as a kind of a practice. And then notice if there's anything that your breath, your body sensations, and your movement can do to support the blooming, to support the landing. Yes, to support the here I am, I can feel myself here. And even in just this small amount of practice, I can feel myself more located. So take a little kind of whole body thermostat reading and go, okay, am I feeling more located? Do I feel where I am? And from feeling where I am, I experience more choice, because I can truly choose rather than being impelled by fear or by urgency, time urgency. So what I want to have you also play with is the pace. So we're landing and blooming, letting your attention go out again. And what I notice is I've gotten more leisurely just in these few minutes, whereas before I might have a sense of, I've got it. Oh, things are really, there's so much going on right now. I have to sort of match that. So then that creates a kind of where I get out of my own presence. So choosing another place, maybe mid-distance, or I'm noticing a place across the street that I can see through the louvers, where there are bird of paradise blooming, which I had not ever seen before. So I'm venturing over there, landing on that, and then letting my attention bloom to what's around that. And I feel an in-breath, and I also feel my body doing this kind of, it's sort of a slow wiggle that adds to the sense of, that's adding the color and the beauty into my experience. So in your own pace, I'd like you to several times land and bloom, and then land out there, and letting your attention bloom. just the whole experience of that verb, those two verbs, landing, which is a kind of a rooting verb, landing, and blooming, which to me is a kind of a love scoop. It feels like it's in the love scoop family. So you can then take all of that blooming and bring it back to you. And then letting that land and bloom inside. And as you're doing that, let yourself notice, is there any place in you that's feeling like it just wants a little extra attention for whatever reason? You know, we tend to get judgy about that, like, oh, you again, man, you are so needy. And your little needy part goes, oh, okay. But any little needy part in you, go ahead and let that blooming that you felt from out there come in. I'm giving a little extra attention to my mid back. Ooh, and I'm feeling my hands are assisting the blooming, because I'm so used to touching myself with my own attention that actually touching myself with my hands feels like, oh, my hands are warm. I can feel that warmth. The part of me that's feeling a little gets more bloomy with that, with touch. So you have touch and breath. And then there's one last thing that I'd like you to add, which is your intention. You can weave attention and intention together. So, what intention would most serve you today and maybe even through the week? So, the ones that are reliable for me are appreciating. And that means for me being sensitively aware of. And that's actually what we've been doing. We've been appreciating by giving sensitive awareness to us in landing and blooming. And we've been doing that with the world around us. So give just some active intention of appreciating or being curious or feeling thankful or expanding and including. Choose one of those or a couple and let yourself experiment with sending your attention out infused with an intention and then landing and blooming. And then bringing all of that, love scooping all of that blooming back to you and bringing that, the front of my thighs were going, hey, what about me? Hey, you've been using me a lot lately. And have you been giving me any juice? No. So I'm now giving attention to my thighs, which are going, they're still a little grumpy, like, okay, all right, okay, that's better. All right, and now they're getting a little more melty. So if you've got little resistant grumpiness, you can give attention and sensitive awareness to that. Now my legs are much happier now. And what that led to was my feet now doing a little bouncing, which I think, oh, that's really interesting. So I'm getting more of my connection with the earth. So let all of this be in service of you being so present, presencing yourself so that the overflow of your landing and blooming is available wherever you show up. So you can be like a lighthouse of landing and blooming. Since I'm on a chair that turns, I'm just going to do that. Landing and blooming. So you let that radiate all around you as you're showing up in the world. Now, the other thing you could add is sound. So notice if there's any sound. And for me, it would be, of course, the which allows everything to bloom inside. So as you go into this next week, landing, blooming, and then returning to you, landing, blooming. Mm. So thank you so much for being here today. And I'm going to take leave, and please continue landing and blooming with each other as long as you want to. And until next time.